Have you ever sat quietly in your living room, looked at the phone, and wondered, will they call today? It's not that your children don't love you. Deep down, you know they do. But the silence feels heavier now, doesn't it? Days go by, sometimes even weeks, and all you get is a rushed text message or a quick call squeezed in between meetings or errands. You want to understand, to be patient, but you can't help but feel a little forgotten. And if you've ever felt like this, you're definitely not alone. These days, our children live in a world that's moving faster than ever. They're constantly juggling jobs, raising kids, paying bills, dealing with stress. Life pulls them in all directions. But while they're caught up in the race, we're often left behind, waiting, wondering, sometimes hurting. It's not that they mean to ignore us. It's just that they don't see how much we still need to feel connected, included, and remembered. This isn't about blame. This is about how easy it is to become invisible once you reach a certain age. You're no longer the center of their world. You're not the one packing lunches, fixing broken toys, or staying up all night with a sick child. Those roles are behind you now. But what nobody talks about is what comes next, when you're no longer busy with them, but they're too busy for you. There's a quiet kind of sadness in that, isn't there? When every holiday or birthday brings a flicker of hope that maybe, just maybe, this time they'll sit with you longer, ask you more than how are you, or even show up without needing a reason. But then life gets in the way again. Schedules, obligations, and that never-ending list of to-dos. And here you are, still you. Still wise. Still full of stories, advice, love, and even laughter. You haven't disappeared. But sometimes it feels like you have. So what can we do? How do we cope with this silence, this space that seems to grow a little wider with each passing month? First, we need to remind ourselves of our worth, because that doesn't vanish just because others are too busy to see it. You've lived through decades of joy, hardship, change, and growth. You've raised children, built a home, held things together when they were falling apart. That kind of strength doesn't just disappear. It's still there, even if it's not being acknowledged as often as it should be. And you know what? Sometimes, we have to be the ones to reach out. Not because it's fair, or because it should always be our job, but because connection is worth the effort. Maybe you send a short message that says, "I was thinking about you today." Or you leave a voicemail sharing a funny memory. Or even better, you ask to hear about their day, without waiting for them to offer first. It may seem small, but these little openings can start to rebuild something. Still, it's important to protect your heart. If every unanswered message leaves you feeling disappointed, maybe it's time to shift your expectations, not lower them, but adjust them in a way that gives you peace. You deserve peace. You deserve joy that doesn't depend on someone else's calendar or free time. That's why it's so important to fill your days with meaning, even when others are too distracted to notice. Reconnect with old friends. Volunteer at a place that needs a warm smile and a steady hand. Take up a hobby you once loved, or one you've always wanted to try. Your life isn't over just because your children are busy. In fact, there's a kind of freedom in this stage of life, if you can learn to embrace it. It also helps to surround yourself with people who understand. Maybe it's someone from your walking group, or a neighbor, or someone you meet in a community class. When we talk about how we're feeling instead of bottling it up, it reminds us that we're not going through this alone. And that simple realization can lighten the burden a little. Sometimes, you might even find that your honesty opens the door to deeper conversations with your children. A gentle, loving talk, where you share how much their presence still matters to you, how even 5 minutes of their time can brighten your week, can go a long way. Not always. But sometimes. And if you're thinking, "I've already tried that," then let me say this, it's okay to feel frustrated. To feel like your heart is being stretched too thin between love and disappointment. That's real. That's human. But just because they're busy doesn't mean you're not important. Just because they don't always show it, doesn't mean they don't care. People can love deeply and still get distracted by life. It doesn't make it right, but it does make it human. Maybe the biggest challenge of growing older isn't physical. Maybe it's emotional. Learning to stand tall even when others stop looking up to you. Learning to find value in yourself even when others seem too busy to notice. And learning to build a life that feels full, not because of who shows up, but because of who you are. You've come so far. And you still have so much to give, to the world, to yourself, and yes, even to your children, when they finally pause long enough to see it. You're not invisible. You're not forgotten. You are here. And your presence matters more than you may ever know.